So how does a single late-night joke manage to bring a top-rated TV show to a dead stop? Well, we're about to unpack a story that spirals from one monologue into a huge national firestorm over free speech, corporate power, and, yeah, the presidency itself.
This was a question one media expert was asking right after ABC went and suspended one of its biggest stars, Jimmy Kimmel. And really, it's a question that gets to the very heart of this whole thing. Where exactly is the line for political comedy today?
And it all happened that fast. Monday, we have a monologue. By Wednesday, one of the biggest shows on television is just gone, off the air. So what was the joke that set it all off, and how did things escalate so quickly in just 48 hours?
Okay, let's start with the spark, the one comment that ignited this entire firestorm.
So during his monologue on Monday, Kimmel makes this comment about the person accused of shooting conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Now here's the problem. What he said went directly against what prosecutors had already revealed about the suspect, and that sparked an immediate and massive uproar.
The backlash was, it was instant and it was intense. And you better believe the corporate response was just as fast. ABC's parent company, Disney, they just pulled the plug on the show, indefinitely.
But this wasn't just about some outrage on social media or a quick corporate decision. Oh no. The government got involved very quickly, and this is where the story gets really, really complex.
That right there, that was the direct message from Brendan Carr, who is the Trump-appointed chair of the Federal Communications Commission. He wasn't just weighing in, he was basically suggesting direct regulatory action against ABC.
And this is where the FCC's power becomes absolutely critical. See, while it can't just pull a network's license directly, it has power over all the local stations that actually air shows like Kimmel's. So for those local stations, the threat of fines or even losing their license to broadcast altogether is a huge, powerful lever to pull.
And that pressure was then amplified, big time, directly from the White House. President Trump publicly praised ABC's decision, then he called for other late-night hosts who criticized him to be fired, and even threw out the idea that networks could lose their licenses for negative coverage.
So, with all this immense pressure coming from the highest levels of government, how did the corporations behind the cameras react? Well, their decisions reveal a really fascinating and, frankly, complex calculation.
Remember those local affiliate stations we just talked about? Well, the pressure worked, almost immediately. Nexstar and Sinclair, two of the largest station owners in the country, they just dropped the show. And it's probably worth noting that Nexstar was, at that exact moment, seeking FCC approval for a major merger.
Now, when you zoom out a little bit, you start to see a potential pattern emerge. Over the past year, several major media companies, all while under some kind of legal or regulatory pressure from the administration, made some, let's say, interesting decisions. We're talking multi-million-dollar settlements to Trump, and even high-profile shows like Stephen Colbert's not getting renewed while its parent company was pushing for a huge deal with the FCC.
And this all points to what some experts call the key vulnerability in media today. When news and entertainment outlets are owned by these massive, profit-driven corporations, they have all these other pressure points that go way beyond just journalism. We're talking mergers, regulations, and of course, the bottom line.
So this is the crucial question, right? What happens to speech, to commentary, to satire when prominent voices who are critical of the government are suddenly taken off the air?
This is what people call a chilling effect. It's this idea that you don't actually need a specific law to silence people. Just the fear of punishment, the threat, can be enough to make commentators and, more importantly, their employers start to censor themselves.
And this quote from Senator Alex Padilla really just captures the core of that concern perfectly. The argument being made is that this isn't just about one or two comedians, it's about whether the fundamental ability to satirize political leaders is now at risk.
Okay, so this entire situation, all of it, it really boils down to a fundamental legal question that goes right to the heart of the First Amendment and its protections.
So legal experts draw this very fine but absolutely critical line here. On the one hand, ABC is a private company. It has the right to fire Jimmy Kimmel for what he said. That's their right. But on the other hand, if a government official like the FCC chair coerced ABC into doing it with threats, well, that's where you could cross the line into an unconstitutional violation of free speech.
And look, this isn't just some abstract legal theory. The Supreme Court just ruled on this exact principle. In a recent case involving the NRA, the court was crystal clear.
Government officials cannot use a private company as a middleman to censor speech that they don't happen to like.
And that, right there, gets to the entire heart of the First Amendment. These protections aren't for just one party or one point of view. As Professor Eugene Volokh puts it, the rules that protect one side's speech today are the exact same rules that are going to be needed to protect their opponent's speech tomorrow. It cuts both ways.
So it all leaves us with this one final, really crucial question. When corporate interests and political power all converge like this, who is really holding the remote control? Who decides what we all get to see and hear?